Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. Guys, my name is Shurina. I'm a certified nutritionist, health nutrition coach, helping people like you to be their absolute best using the science of nutrition and also all the healthy habits, because I'm also a huge believer in a fact that nutrition, just like anything else, doesn't exist in isolation. It all gotta come together. Your nutrition, your movement, your sleep, your stress management, a lot of things for you to fully feel what it means to be your absolute best. So here I'm trying to help you to figure out the nutrition part based on science, not on my personal feelings or preferences. If you've been with me for a while on this journey, on this podcast, you know that I changed so many things about my own diet, my own meal plan, the things that I was talking about. But in all of these experiments, tests, adventures, changes, what I always try to do is figure out the science behind what is going on in my life nutrition-wise and what's going on in the world. Like, what's the science? What do we know? What we don't know? What works? What doesn't work? What's my personal experience? And that's what I'm trying to bring here. Not emotional attachment to some dietary approach, but scientifically based, science-based nutrition principles that you can use to make your life so much better. Because when we feel better, when we have more health, more fitness, we do have more awesome life experience. So guys, anyhow, without further ado, let's talk nutrition. Today we are continuing our conversation about brain nutrition. On Monday, we talked about foods for motivation. Yeah, guys, you can actually increase the amount of motivation available to you by eating certain foods more regularly. On Tuesday, yesterday, we talked about this secret element or chemical that is present more in some foods that helps you to learn better, to have this focused attention that is required for learning, to memorize things, to be more present for life. It also is important for rapid eye movement sleep. That is crucial for great creativity and mental health. So tune in to these episodes we did on Monday and Tuesday if you want to learn more about motivation and this secret chemical to help you to learn and better and memorize things and be more creative and improve your mental health. Today we are talking about fuel for our brain. Fuel that will help you to be more productive and be more emotionally balanced and yes, have more energy, have more motivation, have more drive to go and pursue things, even the hard things. There's different aspects in our brain nutrition that gotta come together for our brain to work at its best. And fueling our brain in the right way, of course, is a huge part of it. Our brain, if you didn't know that, it's about 2 to 5%, usually about 5, obviously, we have different brains. Well, brain size is actually quite universal, but body weight, body size is obviously different. But brain is about 5% of our body mass. But believe it or not, guys, it consumes 20 to 25% of all the energy in the body. 1/4 of all the energy, all the nutrition, everything goes into our brain. That is only 5% by weight. This thing is hungry. It is hungry for nutrients, for oxygen, for water, for all the proteins, amino acids, for certain fats. And also, of course, it is super thirsty and hungry for glucose. Guys, brain's preferred fuel is glucose. Yes, if you're on a low carb or keto diet, you can use ketones, but it is not the preferred fuel for our brain. Our brain absolutely loves easy access to glucose and consistent access. Our brain does not like the fluctuations in blood sugar supply, because guess what? If you don't have that glucose or if you're not that great at making ketones, then the brain will not be able to perform its function, and that means that nothing gonna work in our life. Basically, no work, no sex drive, nothing. Right? So the brain needs that glucose, that blood sugar, and it's very sensitive to blood sugar supply. And if you don't figure out the way to make that supply balanced and steady and constant, then you constantly gonna struggle with fluctuations of energy. You high, you low, you high, you low. Also, your mood gonna follow the same pattern. You high, and happy, and then you low and super sad for no reason. Again, you high and low, you high and low, and a lot of other things in your performance, in your life quality, will follow the same pattern. A lot of people who think they have problems with their mood, like it always fluctuates, a lot of people just didn't learn how to eat to control their blood sugar and availability of glucose to our brain. So, another interesting fact, did you know, guys, that scientists did a lot of research, and they say that on average, for you to supply all the glucose that the brain needs per day, on average, you'll need to eat at least 130 grams of absorbable carbohydrates, meaning non-fiber carbohydrates, right? So the brain alone will consume at least that amount. Obviously, if you are more mentally active, if you are more physically active, if you are bigger, for many other reasons, the brain can consume more, but at least that is needed. So you need to figure out where to get your carbs, if not for your workouts and the less of activities, then for your brain. And I personally quit keto because of my brain, because it would, like a story. At the point of 5-6 years into keto, I don't know what changed, but it seemed that my brain wouldn't be able to get all the fuel it needed. And so at about 3-4 p.m., I would mentally hit a wall. Like I wouldn't be able to make myself do anything, not even do anything physically, but also thinking. Like I couldn't learn, I couldn't make myself study more, work on my clients' projects, work on a lot of other things I wanted to do in life. It was like I would hit this mental wall and I could not make myself do any mental and physical effort. Well, I could walk, and do simple stuff, but to do something that was difficult and required effort, I could not do that. And eating more carbohydrates totally fixed it. All my carbohydrates come from whole foods, fruit, veg, beans, nuts and seeds, lentils. And I eat enough to make sure that I supply all the fuel that my brain needs. And if on any specific day I am more active physically, I have strength workout or I do some high intensity interval cardio, I know that I will require more carbohydrates if I want my brain to function properly. Because especially when we are active, our brains and our muscles will compete for that fuel. And actually muscles will suck out blood sugar out of our bloodstream very, very fast when we are active. So the brain doesn't get much of it. And that's why when we are super active and we have a lot of lean body mass, then we need to increase our carbohydrates for our brain to work properly and not to be in that brain fog state. So I think, guys, if you, for example, have a hard workout, and then after this workout, your brain seems to not function that well, it means that you probably might need to increase fuel. Not just carbohydrates, but also, as we talked, amino acids are very important, and that's why you probably want to have some carbs, some protein. You probably also want to have some fat just to balance out the mix and make the absorption optimal. But yeah, if you are fatigued after your workouts, that probably a lot has to do with insufficient carbohydrate intake or insufficient intake of amino acids or protein. That being said, guys, what are the carbohydrates that I recommend for you to have? I do not recommend you to have any juices or added sugar coffee drinks or tea drinks or anything with added sugar, anything with a lot of processed, refined sugar, no matter how natural it is. Again, even cane sugar is natural or coconut sugar, but it's still processed sugar. Delivery method matters if you want to supply steady, consistent energy to your brain. So what does it all mean in practice? It means that all your carbohydrates got to be attached to fiber and probably water. So if you eat something like beans, lentils, oatmeal, there's a lot of fiber, and carbohydrates are going to be released slowly. But also like quinoa or buckwheat, choose rice, choose your own favorite carbohydrate and fiber-rich foods, sweet potatoes, obviously fruit. Some foods will have more starchy carbohydrates. Some foods like fruit would have almost entirely fruit sugars, but they're still all bound to water, to fiber that slow down absorption of sugars. And this slowing down of absorption is really important for consistent flow of blood sugar, of glucose to your brain, for consistent supply of energy that the brain needs to function optimally. So let's say you eat 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As a general rule of thumb for metabolic health and for more balanced energy, I recommend you to consume more starchy complex carbohydrates in any meal besides the meal after your workout. So let's say in the morning maybe you don't work out, so maybe have some oatmeal and maybe fruit, maybe berries, but not a lot, right? So we have more complex carbohydrates, so they last longer. Now, after your workout, if you want to recover faster, your brain capacity, I recommend to eat something like fruit that is still full of fiber and water, but carbohydrates there are more sugars and they are faster and more easily consumed, absorbed, metabolized. So I recommend to have something like fruit after your workout, and then additionally have something more long-lasting, like again, maybe some oatmeal, maybe some, what else do we have? We have beans, we have lentils, we have sweet potatoes, right? Whole foods. Try to focus on whole foods because of also all the nutrients. And let's say, you work out, then you have your lunch, then at dinner also have some carbohydrates, but more slow carbohydrates. Lentils and beans are ideal for your dinner because they supply your brain with energy, not for the last part of the day, but also for the night. And a lot of people, especially women, have troubles sleeping because their brain has troubles accessing the glucose it needs. So what you want to do is at your dinner have carbohydrates, but have them long lasting. So beans, lentils work perfectly. But any whole food with starch, with fiber will work quite well. It's just what I found, lentils and beans work the best for sleep quality. So to recap, guys, today we talked about constant, steady, consistent supply of energy to your brain, because this is the hungriest, the thirstiest for glucose organ in our body. And when it doesn't get enough, you will slow down whether you want it or not, and you're also going to get cranky and you lose your drive, your motivation. Not all of it, but a lot of it, depending, obviously on the uniqueness of your situation. What we want, again, to supply consistent, steady, stable energy supply. Fast carbohydrates, like all these sugar-sweetened drinks or your juices or, smoothies with some agave or whatever have you. A lot of different kinds of snack bars that might be all natural again, but have a lot of added sugars that are super fast and gonna give you high very fast, but then also you're gonna crash. But the worst things are energy drinks, if I were to put my finger on it, because it's caffeine, it's sugar, and when you crash really hard, right? But energy, consistent, stable, our brain loves this. If you're on a low carb or keto diet, guys, most of the people, most of you, most of all of us, we will never do as well on moderate carbohydrate intake, moderate meaning that is suitable for your lifestyle and your needs. You will never do as well mentally and physically as you do with smart carbohydrates as on keto. Like, that just not happening from all the research. Keto helps with certain conditions. It might help a lot with weight loss for a lot of people, but it doesn't work for optimal health and function, especially in a healthy, fit individual, right? So you won't have your carbohydrates, you want them slow, you want slow digesting, the ones that release energy slow, and that usually means whole foods, that usually means a lot of fiber, that usually means not that many sugars. If you want to eat stuff like a lot of fruit, then I suggest eating those after workouts, and then for the rest of the day, stick with slow digesting carbohydrates, like, again, whole beans, lentils are perfect, tubers like potatoes, sweet potatoes, artichokes, and pumpkins, squashes, etc. And then in vegetables, of course, you're gonna have some, and then we have our whole grains like rice or oats or quinoa, etc. So these are your sources of carbohydrates to eat if you want to fuel your brain in the most optimal way, so the brain has all the glucose it needs and it's happy, and you can get out there and do your work and be your awesome self. So that's it for today, guys. If you found this interesting and very useful, please do put this into practice. Design some experiments to see how better you perform when you have these slow digesting carbohydrates. Enough amounts, again, no less than 130 grams of digestible carbohydrates. Experiment with different amounts and different kinds, see what works for you. Let me know how you did. If there is something that was unclear, you need more information, please reach out. There is a form in the show notes, a link, and you can type in your question or whatever other thoughts you have or help you might need. Share this episode with other people who also might want to be more productive and more focused and happier, especially, if these are the people you work with. It's best for all when everybody does their best work and they're at their best mental, physical, and emotional state, right? So share this episode. Let me know how useful it was. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And till next time, eat better daily.